last, I finally got to see this movie. I'm saying it not because, I mean, it came out yesterday. I'm saying finally because when I first heard that they were doing this movie and how they were doing the entire, like, monsterverse, the cinematic universe for these monsters, I was so excited. My grandmother, my mom were, like, obsessed with Godzilla movies when I was younger, made me watch, like, all of them, and I was really, really into the one from the 1970s. I remember watching that movie and just, like, crying when when King Kong died, and like, movies with big monsters, like, already, like, you got me hooked. But when it comes to monsters, like, with this kind of history and this kind of story, and, that many movies has come out, it's just, like, a recipe for brilliance to me. And I watched all of these. I saw the first Godzilla. I saw them all in theaters. I watched the first Godzilla, which, I enjoyed. It was cool. And then came, what was after that? I think the first King Kong Skull Island came out right after that. And then there was a King of Monsters. Now, I will say that I understand some of the complaints people have had about the series, but on one hand, it doesn't bother me. I know they talk about, like, underdeveloped human characters, but to be honest, I really don't care that much about the human characters. And now that we get to this movie, I cared about them even less. Like, I got to the point where I couldn't stand everybody but that little girl. But anyway, so this is my review for Godzilla versus King Kong. Right off the bat, the music choices they have for King Kong, I'm like, are they trying to turn this dude into Star-Lord or what? Like, it was interesting. It was very interesting. But I will say, I love that they just got straight into the monsters. They didn't make us wait for half the movie to see either one of them. They were there front and center from the beginning. We got to see King Kong on his pretty much ruined island. And we got an introduction pretty much to what's been going on with him since, the last movie. He's older now. I know in Skull Island, they said he was supposed to be kind of like an adolescent. But, he was still a great protector. And now he doesn't really have anything to protect anymore. There's this shitty dome over his island. And all that's left of the natives is just this one girl. I wasn't a fan of how they just, like, completely wiped out the natives just with a couple of words. Like, oh, I don't know what it was about that really just didn't sit well with me. But they just dismissed them so quickly. It was almost if they were never even there. And I don't know if they did that for him to just have a stronger connection with this little girl who was pretty much a remnant of what once existed, or I don't know. But it was just not. I wasn't a fan of that. But I will say that the first fight between King Kong and Godzilla was perfect. Like, it was brilliant. Actually, all of the monster fights, they did really, really, like, supremely well with them. And getting back to the little girl, I know in previous King Kong films, it was always that woman, kind of like a weird pseudo romance kind of thing. But I like that they replaced that with this connection with this little girl and her being able to sign to him and all of that. I know some people were like, oh, this is so cliche. This is like, like Congo. Okay, well, whatever. It's not like this hasn't happened in real life. Like, there have been gorillas who have been taught to sign. I don't know if they could do it as extensively as King Kong, but, we're supposed to take him for something that's more than just like a big giant gorilla. Like, he has a different level of intelligence. He was a ruler pretty much. So I can buy that. Like, I was down with it. It was cool. The movie itself, it was decently paced. The human characters, like I said, they were not very fleshed out, but that didn't really bother me too much. It got a little murky for me once they got to the whole center of the world thing. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's all this shit happening out of the blue. I couldn't follow. But after watching for a while, I kind of got what was going on. It seemed a little out of the blue to me that his home was not Skull Island as I previously believed. I thought that was previously what was established, but apparently he just ended up here. They didn't get to how he ended up at Skull Island. Just that, his family was gone, and they got there. They had this. It was pretty much the same environment as Skull Island. I mean, I don't know if it's a piece of the land at the center just broke off and floated to the top, and it just happened to be on it and didn't get off. I don't know, but apparently this is where King Kong originated. I'm assuming all of the Titans originated from here, and this is where the war between Godzilla's species and King Kong's species started. I can get with that. It had a nice, like, they did well specifically with the monsters, and for me, that's the biggest, most important part, because it was all about that. Humans, I mean, I could do with that, especially, I can't remember the name of the character, but Ken Watanabe's character from the previous Godzilla movies, that guy with the bangs, who was controlling the Mecha Godzilla, whatever, was that supposed to be his son? Because if it was, I didn't like that either. Like, why did you have this nice dude who was cool with Godzilla to this punk ass? I didn't like him. I didn't like that old dude with the lace front. I had a I had a hard time with, all the humans except for the little girl. Especially, how do you say her name? Isa Gonzalez? She was like hella irritating. I feel like she was only there just to be irritating. And I didn't like her. I didn't really like any of them. But the fact of the matter was, I really like what they did with the monsters. And that was the most important part. And I want to see more of that going forward. I don't really know what the future of the franchise. But from what I can tell, it's done well. It's like I said, it's like with the 4th highest grossing movie of 2021, just like on that first day. So who knows like what it's going to be in a couple of weeks. But I don't know how many stars I would give it, because I don't exactly have a rating system as far as that goes. But I do think the movie gave me what I expected it to give me. Nothing more, nothing less. I wasn't going into it expecting some cinematic masterpiece. I did expect some great visuals, and it did give me that, for sure. Those fight scenes, A1, 100%. And I mean, that's what you go to see these movies for. You want them to be big, loud, action. I will say it wasn't boring. Godzilla King of the Monsters, it had a tendency to just drag, and it's just like, you think, I mean, a movie about big monsters is supposed to be exciting, and that was like, like my English lectures back in undergrad. This delivered. It did, I didn't pick a team going into it. I wasn't Team Kong. I wasn't Team Godzilla. I love them both. I will say I'm a little bit more partial to Kong. And I think they may have something to do with the way they have humanized him throughout, the films he's shown up in. And also, there's some very obvious reflections of racial themes in his stories, which will always stand out to me. So maybe that might be part of the reason why. But I still love Godzilla, But this was good. I know there was no post-credit scene that everybody was expecting. I don't know what that means, if it means anything at all. Probably doesn't. I definitely don't think they're going to just stop with these films. What is this, number 4? And it felt a lot more like a King Kong movie that Godzilla just kind of like happened to be in. But I feel like at least separately they'll both like at least get some more movies. I know Godzilla will probably at least get like one more. And I'll be there to see that. I'll be there to see King Kong. And if they do another one with the 2 of them, which, is also a possibility. I don't know like how likely it is, but it's possible. But I'll be all over that. This was definitely one of my most anticipated films of the year. And I was not disappointed. So hopefully they will keep this momentum going and not going back to, you know, some of that boring shit they had in Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Just stick with this. Forget the humans. I don't care about the humans. Nobody cares about the humans. The monsters. Right. I want all that.